Check, check, check. How many synagogues in Puerto Rico? Huh? Yeah. Really? Wow. Any food. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Who does something like that? Who does something like that? Who? No, 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 yeah. Yeah. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back.
Thank you. Okay. YouTube, Shabbat Shalom. Next week we're not on YouTube, we're on Zoom, and the week after, same thing on Zoom. So find the link in the weekly. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Ben,
Shalom.
you're leading us next week, right?
I'm leading next week on Zoom.
On Zoom, and More Marion is doing the week after.
Yeah.
We'll all be together in virtual land, but not me. I'll be having Shabbat dinner with my children.
Nice.
Yes, I'm very happy. Meanwhile, we need to enter Shabbat. So, Seth, would you bring your Siddur and offer us the reading on page 3? Oh, it feels so silly with the 5 of us to wear a microphone, I have to say, but it's for our YouTube people. Ah, yes, I can hold that for you.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
I like the candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'hadlik Yasher Koach, thank you. Seth, you honor us triply tonight by being part of our davening team, by offering us the reading, by bringing the challah, and making sure that we're all streamed out. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Ooh. Page 5 for Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav beratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim. All right. So we're going to continue. I have no idea because I don't have my glasses on. All right. Okay, so this is the job. If there's anybody in this room you don't know on a first-name basis, go over and introduce yourself and say hello. Wish them Shabbat Shalom. Nathaniel, you probably don't know Elia, because there's one's right there. So everybody, make sure you know each other. Take a good, deep, cleansing breath and blow out the week. Create some inner space. Ground ourselves in the right here, the right now, and in the beauty of the right now that is Shabbat. And make space for that double portion of soul. Enrich you from the inside out. Page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Bochem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bless us. Baruch Hu Nil Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, find the place of joy, that's simcha, yismechu. Put your finger in page 44, 'cause we'll be there before you know it. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Let's sing that together now. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Sing it to the heavens. Hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, umelo. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, umelo. 44. Yes. Almost sounds like something from Fiddler on the Roof when you do it in that way. Sorry, I know exactly where you're going. Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat bekorei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat bekorei, oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei Shvi Shabbat, Kulam Yisbehu V'yitangu Metuvecha Shabbat. Yismehu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat bekorei, oneg Shabbat. Yismehu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat bekorei, oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi ratzita bo v'kiddushto Shabbat, chemdad yamim otokarata Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat bekorei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat bekorei, oneg Shabbat. Zecher l'masei v'reishit Shabbat, Zecher l'masei v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat bekorei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat. Breathe out the weak. Bekorei, oneg Shabbat. Let's turn to the sheet where it says untie my knots, and maybe you can give us an untying melody, an unchained melody. How's that? Let's read together. We're bound with very tight knots. They choke off air, stop the blood from pulsating freely. Those knots make us like computers with carefully controlled circuitry. The knots in our brains tie our creativity and our link with you. We follow the knot around in intricacy, but it remains a knot. The knots in our hearts keep us from crying and dancing when we long to. They tie us to the posts of the fences that separate us from each other. The knots in our muscles keep our chest tight, our teeth clenched, our jaws locked, our legs crossed, our shoulders stooped, our backs bent. They stop us from inhaling the full sweetness of life's breath. Oh God, untie all those knots. So let's just take a moment and see if we can't locate and loosen some of those knots. Breathe that sweet air into them and see if we can't imagine them melt away. Page 20, Lecha Dodi. Let us greet the day. Imagine it in all of its splendor. Yana-na-na-na, Lecha Dodi. Yana-na, yana-na-na-na, Likrat Kala. Yana-na-na-na, B'nai Shabbat. B'nai Shabbat Kabbalat. Shamor v'zachor b'diborecha ishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem u'tiferet ve'litila yananai yananana lecha dodi yananana likrat kala yananana b'nai Shabbat Kabbalat. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tehila yananai yananana lecha dodi yananai yananana likrat kala yananana b'nai Shabbat Kabbalat. na likrat kala. Yana na 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Please rise, face the door. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala, boi chala, yararai, yarananai, l'chadudi, yararai, yarananai, likrat kala, yarananai, b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Stay rising, for we rise. It's on our sheet. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise, humbly hearted, rise, won't be divided, rise, with Spirit to guide us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise, all of the children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise, up from the wreckage, rise, with tears and with courage, rise, we're fighting for life, rise, all together. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We're not quite a minion, so that's in spirit our barchu, without our barchu. Let's turn to page 30 and welcome the evening. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates. Open those gates. Baruch atah Adonai הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמורותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. וחושך מפני אור ומאבדיל יום ומביא לילה מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו. תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מעריב ערבים. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love, an unending love. Sing with me. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love, an unending love. We're embraced. Well, we'll follow you. Where are you? Embraced by arms that find us, even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us, even when we're too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we're too embittered to hear. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love, an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love, an unending love. We're supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we're too weak for meeting. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love, an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love, an unending love. Embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love, an unending love. We are loved. by the one, that echad, that makes unity from chaos, that brings together all of us into those wings of Shekhinah. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 36. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. Let's read together on the top of page 37. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. Emet ve'emunah, true and faithful. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us, that you alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. And they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously as we do now on page 40, saying, Mi chamocha, who is like you? Who could possibly? באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטע בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע הים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ידע אדוני את יעקב, גלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גל ישראל. 42. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace. Raise us up, our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace and guide us. Guide us. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmot aleinu sukat shlomecha lechaim u'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Baruch atah Adonai ufros sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Invite us all to rise for the tefillah, the amidah, the standing prayer. Begin by asking not only our heart but our mouth to open and allow the words to flow. Yanana, 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 Adonai. Yanana, 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Yanana, 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Yanana, 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 Adonai. Yanana, 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Yanana, 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol Vezocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot Umevi Gila Livnei Bneihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Metim Ata Rav Lehoshia Mashiv HaRuach u'Morid HaGashem Mechalkel Chayim
מתים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
I invite you to finish your prayer privately, either from the text between pages 54 and 60, or the text from within. And please be seated when you're finished. מודים אנחנו לך שאתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צורכנו מגנישנו אותך לדור ודור. מודה לך על ספר תהילתך על החיים מסורים בידיך ובשפוטך ובמלאך. ועל ניסך שבכל יום עמנו. ועל נפלותיך וטובתך שבכל ערב ובוקר וצהריים. הטוב כי לא חלו רחמך, לחמרחם כי לא תמור חסידך, לעולם קרינו לך. ועל כולם יתברך ותורם שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ובכל חסלה. שלום רב על ישראל, עמך תשים. Say shalom bimromav. Text on 62. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei Tevel ve'imru say shalom bimromav Say shalom bimroma. Yasi shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Let's read together on page 63. Let's do this one at the top. Create a pure heart within me, which, by the way, is the psalm that's written above that, or above us. Create a pure heart within me. Let my soul wake up in your light. Open me to your presence. Flood me with your Holy Spirit. Then I will stand and sing out the power of your forgiveness. I will teach your love to the lonely. The lost will find their way home. Adonai, open up my lips, and my mouth will declare your praise. So we turn to page 263. We offer prayers for healing, body, spirit, self, relationship, psyche. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. This week we're especially praying for Millie Rottenberg, Howard Simon, Gloria Berkowitz, Gittel Bat Chana, Bernice Portney, Beryl Ben Sima, Shmuel Leib, Steve Gellis, Sholem Avram Ben Golda Yeshayahu, Myrtle Cupid, Michael Rosenblum, Harav Miriam Yael Chaya Bat Sarah Yitzchak, Maxwell Zwain, Menachem Mendel Ben Yehudit V'Michael, Dora Matsurate, Jeff Galvani, and Dr. Isoken Osemwota, and Alan Mentha. To these names we add bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Shabbat Shalom. I like the music stand, but it's sort of like living in a studio apartment up here. It's really tiny. So perhaps you read, okay, I do this. Perhaps, this is where, like, one thing goes and it's like a domino, everything else is going to fall off. Perhaps you read the obituary that came out of El Paso, Texas this week of a Jewish mother. It went viral. No? Nobody else read it? Good. It went viral, hit the register this week. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of hits. The obituary was for a woman named Renee Mandel Corin, and it was titled, "A Plus-Size Jewish Lady Redneck Died in El Paso on Saturday." And it read as follows. It was written by her son. Of itself, hardly news, or good news if you're the type that subscribes to the notion that anybody not named you dying in El Paso, Texas is good news, in which case, have I got news for you. The body, fertile, red-necked matriarch of a sprawling Jewish, Mexican, redneck American family has kicked it. This was not good news to Renee Mandel, Corin's many surviving children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, many of whom she even knew and, in her own way, loved. There will be much mourning in the many glamorous locales she went bankrupt in. McKeeves Fort, Pennsylvania, Renee's birthplace, where she first fell in love with ham and atheism. Fayetteville and Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, where Renee's dreams, credit rating, and marriage are all buried. And, of course, Miami, Florida, where Renee's parents, uncles, aunts, and eternal hopes of all Miami Dolphins fans everywhere are all buried pretty deep. Renee was preceded in death by Don Shula. Because she was my mother, the death of a Zaftik, good-time gal, Renee Corin, at the impossible old age of 84 is newsworthy to me. I treat it with the same respect and reverence she had for, well, nothing. A more disrespectful, trash-reading, talking, and watching woman in North Carolina, Florida, or Texas was not to be found. Hers was an itinerant, much-lived life, a Yankee, Florida, liberal, Jewish, tough gal who bowled him in Japan, rolled him in North Carolina, and was a singularly unique parent. Often frustrated by the stifling conservative culture of the South, Renee turned her voracious mind to the home front, becoming a model stay-at-home parent, a supermom, really just the perfect PTA lady, volunteer, amateur baker, and just kidding, y'all. Renee, Rosie to her friends, and this was a broad who never met a stranger, worked double shifts with Doreen, ate a ton of carbs with Bernie, and could occasionally be stirred to stew some stuffed cabbage for the kids. She played cards like a shark, bowled and played cribbage like a pro, and laughed with the boys till the wee hours, long after the last pin dropped. At one point in the 1980s, Renee was the 11th or 12th ranked cribbage woman in cribbage in America, and while that could be a lie, it still sounds great in print. She also told us she came up with the name for Sunoco, and I chose to believe this too. Yes, Renee lied a lot. But on the plus side, Renee didn't cook, she didn't clean, and she was lousy with money too. Here's what Renee was great at: dyeing her red roots, weekly manicures, dirty jokes, pier fishing, rolling joints, and buying dirty magazines. She said she read them for the articles, but filthy free speech was really Renee's thing. Hers was a bawdy, rowdy life lived large, broke, and loud. And we thought Renee could not be killed. God knows people tried a lot. Renee had been toying with death for decades, but always beating it and running off in her silver Chevy Nova. COVID couldn't kill Renee. Neither could pneumonia twice, infectious blood clots, bad feet, breast cancer twice, 2 mastectomies, 2 recessions, multiple bankruptcies, marriage to a philandering sergeant major, divorce in the 70s, 6 kids, 1 cesarean, a few abortions from the quietly famous abortionist of Spring Lake, North Carolina, or an affair with Larry King in the 60s. Renee was preceded in death by her ex-boyfriend, Larry King. Renee was also sadly preceded in death by her beloved daughter, Kathy Lester Trammell Webster of Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, who herself was preceded in death by 2 marriages, a fudge, 1 eyeball lost in a near Pepsi bottle incident that will absolutely be explored in a future obituary. Losing her one-eyed bad ass of a daughter in 2007 devastated Renee, but also made her quite homeless since Kathy pretty much picked up the tab. A talented and gregarious grifter, Renee M. Corin eked out her final years of luxury. She literally retired at 62, under the passion, checking accounts, and evidently unlimited patience of her favorite son and daughter-in-law, Michael and Lourdes Cohen, of the world-famous cow sanctuary in El Paso, Texas. Renee is also survived by her son, Jeffrey Corin, and his endlessly tolerant wife, Shirley, of Powell Point, North Carolina, Scott Corin, and what's left of his colon, of Hampton, Virginia, Mark and Lauren Cohen, the loveliest dirt farmer of Vernon, Texas. Seriously, where is that? And her favorite son, the gay one, who writes catty obituaries in his spare time, Andy Corin of, obviously, New York City, plus two beloved granddogs, Mia and Hudson. Renee was particularly close to and grateful for the lavish attention of her granddaughter, Perla, and her great-grandchildren, Elijah and Leroy, and her constant cruise companion, Sam Trammell of Greenville, North Carolina, and Adam Corin of El Paso, Texas. Renee took tremendous pride in making one gay son and two gay grandchildren, Sam Trammell and Adam Corin. There will be a very disrespectful and totally non-denominational memorial on May 10th, 2022, most likely at a bowling alley in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The family requests absolutely zero privacy or propriety, none whatsoever, and in fact encourages you to spend some government money today on a band at the blackjack table or on a cheap cruise to find our inheritance. She spent it all, folks. She left me nothing but these lousy memories, which I and my family of 5 brothers and my sister-in-laws, nephews, friends, nieces, neighbors, ex-boyfriends, Larry King's children, who I guess I might be one of, the total strangers who all, to a person, loved and will cherish her forever. Please think of the brightly frocked, frivolous, funny, and smart Jewish redhead who is about to grift you, tell you a filthy joke, and for Larry King's sake, laugh. Bye, Mommy. We loved you to bits. Rest in peace. This kind of reminds me of the old joke, maybe you've heard it, Epstein's funeral. You see, everyone knew that Epstein was no good. Nobody liked him, a real son of a gun. So at his funeral, no one came up to speak, not wanting to say anything bad about the dead. But the rabbi wouldn't let it rest. Doesn't anyone here have anything to say on behalf of Epstein? The rabbi urged and begged. Finally, Nussbaum, the back of the room, he shuffles up slowly, gets to the bima, clears his throat, and says, his brother was worse. And he sat down. After 17 years in Egypt, reunited with his whole family, including with his son Joseph in this week's Parsha Vayechi, Jacob is dying. He's had 17 years to learn and process the real story of what his older sons did to their brother, his beloved Joseph. He's had many years to get to know them as fully formed adults in their own right. And this week he gathers all of his sons around him at his bedside to offer his parting words. And like Renee, some of them are pretty colorful. It's clear that for Jacob, some of their relationships, some of the relationships that he had with his children, they weren't so good. Some were better. But he doesn't mince words about how he describes their character. Others are filled with love, but maybe not so complimentary. Naturally, as a rabbi, I speak to many, many grieving families when preparing for a funeral. In our tradition, a funeral or a memorial is a time when we begin to turn a person's life into sacred memory. And when I talk to these families, I try my darndest, I try my hardest to get people to talk about their loved ones and about how they were in their fullness, their sweet and their bitter, their foibles and their normalcies, their challenges and their gifts. But often, too often I think, people genericize or even whitewash descriptions. They oversimplify. They often even hallmark, if that's a verb, a version of their loved one that veils the complexity of their life. And that makes me sad. Because to really make a person's memory a blessing, it requires that we see them for all that they were and in all of their fullness. To make peace with a legacy requires us to mourn what they gave us and what they withheld, what we loved about them and what drove us nuts, how they loved us and how they hurt us. In fact, this is the reason for gathering for Shiva stories and the psychology behind a year of saying Kaddish as well as its text. The Jewish people, too, have history, some going all the way back to this foundational family that requires grappling. Too often we, too, shine a rose-colored light on our biblical patriarchs and matriarchs that doesn't do the text, or frankly, our responsibilities to it justice. Now, Renee's isn't your typical obituary, to be sure. And some may say it isn't appropriate, but I would disagree. Those words from her son brings her memory, her spirit, present for us. Can't we all imagine that woman behind us, even though we didn't even know her? We can imagine what made her both infuriating and lovable. It doesn't reduce her to a loving wife and mother who lived for her family. It makes her real, three-dimensional, complex. It makes her life something that we can learn from, as well as maybe things that we don't want to learn, like it is, if we're honest, with everyone that we love. It keeps her stories alive. It brings her alive. The stories and the faults are real. So are the pain and the scars. But most importantly, so is the love. The goal is to wrap all of who she is in love and in blessing. And this is what it takes. This is what it takes to eventually emerge from a loss whole. So that when we do say, Zichrono livracha, Zichrona livracha, may her or may his memory be for a blessing, we can smile and really mean it. Shabbat Shalom. Let's turn to page 282 and rise for Aleinu. Ooh, gotta get my book back. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Please be seated. Adonai, our God, how soon we hope to behold the perfection of our world, guided by a sacred covenant drawn from human and divine meeting. 287. We can be seated. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו Page 294 for the Mourner's Kaddish, in which we honor those who gave us life, those who walked with us, those who taught us. If you are saying Kaddish for somebody, I invite you to rise, or if it is your custom, otherwise you may remain seated. Page 294, when we say that, remind us that we're in Shloshim for Florence Wellen, Judith Ballard-Fabian, Edith Danzig Grossman, and observing the yahrzeit of Nestor Osvaldo Dron, Rose Barrett Gerwitz, Melanie Lee, and Herman Opper. Is there anyone else for whom we're saying Kaddish? Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach erutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei, let's skip that part. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudisha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, amen. May their memories always be. So a few announcements. Tomorrow morning, Tot Shabbat will be on Zoom. Bring your stuffed animals and bring a snack. Religious school is happening this Sunday. Community time is back. Parents are all invited to join their children at 11:35 right here in the sanctuary before pickup. After this Sunday, school will be on winter break for 2 weeks, and we're back on January 9th. It is not too late to order your challah subscription. A 17-week challah subscription is available beginning January 6th and goes through the end of May. It's $180. Deadline is December 23rd. I think that makes it Wednesday. And yes, see the weekly, see the newsletter for pickup times. There's pickup here, there's pickup in Hoboken on Friday, on Sunday, all kinds of options every week. Services next week and the week after, the 24th and the 31st, are on Zoom and at 6:30. January 7th is also at 6:30, but it's here. It's First Friday. The week is in the link is in the weekly. And January 7th, we're back on YouTube as normal. As you probably know, the social hall downstairs suffered water damage from last fall's hurricanes that escalated a minor mold problem and made our lower level unusable. If you don't, I don't suggest it, but now there's no floor, no walls, soon to be no ceiling, and soon to be no awful red wallpaper. Because the mold is now gone, but obviously now we have to go into the place of making sure that the water does not do any further damage, and then, of course, building back better. That's got a nice ring to it, build back better, doesn't it?
Build back better.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, point is, or an important point is that the damage was very partially covered by insurance and other funding. We are on an active fundraising campaign. Anybody that has got funds, ideas, moral support to help us pay for the restoration, we are truly looking for 100% participation of people who are part of the temple. We've also instituted regular updates on our progress in the weekly and the newsletter. So if you're curious what's going on in any given week to week, it's there, all there in the newsletter. Help Seth. join the tech crew, learn the live stream equipment. You can see Seth's here the whole time, so he basically turns it on and then comes to daven, and so we would love to have people join that. And we implore you, please, in light of recent events, to make sure that you're careful crossing the street. JFK Boulevard, it is deadly. And of course, the food pantry remains open for any who want to either donate to it or help feed our hungry and food insecure neighbors. Does anybody else have any announcements? Good and welfare? Something they want to share? Special plans? Vacations? I know, Elia, you're going to Florida? Yes. How long you up, Nathaniel? Really? Well, we're glad you're here. Glad you're here. Glad you're home. 322. Mi Eloheinu, mi Adonenu, mi Kemalkeinu, Yananai, 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 Nanai, 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 Yananai, Nanai, Nanai, mi Chemoshienu, no del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, Yananai, 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 Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Yananai, 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 Nanai, 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 Yananai, Nanai, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Yananai, 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 Nanai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. And thank you, Seth. I hope you like French toast. Oh, you can do better than that. Okay. Elia. Please do. Nathaniel. Good. Enjoy. Shabbat shalom, everybody. And thank you, Seth. Oh, you found the drum. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You always do the Torah first in class? Mm-hmm. I'll probably do that regularly. Good. 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 Just stay. The rest you'll hear, repeats. No, that's the wonderful thing about it. There's so much.
The first part of your sermon reminded me of a thought I've heard a number of times.
I'm trying to keep a distance. I'm listening.